Okay, so hello everyone, and I hope you were able to get your glass of water or anything. So we will start the training. So as you already know, it's a training regarding Matrix, more particularly the search on Matrix. So today we will be doing that. So before we start, I just want to let you know that for those who aren't aware, there's two ways in order to get to Matrix. The first one will be through your favorites, so which is the left menu that you have here. So you can always click on edit, click on add, and from there you're able to get all of the Sentry's tools. So you just need to check which tool you would like to see on the left menu. Once you click on save, you will have access to those. And the other way is to go to tools on the top left and then go look for Matrix or any specific tool. So each Sentry tools has a toolkit that we call, and from there, the toolkit, you will be able to see all of the webinars, the trainings that are coming for this particular tool, and the tutorials. So these are short, safe videos that you can have access anytime, anywhere you want, since they are short videos that are saved on YouTube. So you can have access to those. So let's say you forgot how to create an auto email. You can always check this video. It's only 6 minutes, so sometimes it will be quicker for you to just check this video instead, let's say, on waiting the next morning to be able to ask someone a question in your office or someone or calling the Sentry's help desk. So without further ado, we will start the training in Matrix. So we'll click on access this tool. And I'll put my matrix in English. And there we go. So since some of you already know how to use Matrix, some of you who are watching this training are maybe using Samweb, which is the equivalent of Matrix, but for the people that were in the Quebec board. So the difference, it's really on the functions that some of those tools have. Let's say Matrix has the CMAs, which are the comparables, or you have the option of the statistics. But either case, SAM and Matrix uses the same data. So let's say you do a search for single families in Montreal, you will have the same properties in SAM or in Matrix. So don't worry about that. And this is what you have to keep in mind if you're looking to switch from SAM to Matrix. So Matrix is used, as I mentioned, in order to get properties, to do CMA, statistics, auto emails. So technically, once you have those things function, technically you're supposed to send that to your clients. So obviously, in order to send to your clients, you always need to have the contact created before. So it's very important to remember that if you're going to create an auto email or if you're going to send properties to your clients, it's very important to keep in mind that you need to create the contact before, because otherwise you won't be able to do it and you would have to redo it. You will have to redo, let's say, your search or your statistics and anything or something like that. So it's very important to keep in mind to create your contact before. In order to do that, you go on My Matrix, Contacts, and from there you click on the Add button on the top, on the bottom left. And then, as you're able to see, it's a prospect windows that opens. So it's very important to keep in mind that Matrix only needs the 3 mandatory characteristics, which are the last name, the first name, and the email address. So you need to put those 3 in order to create a contacting matrix. And once you're done, you click on Save and Close. And since the contact was created in prospects, you need to click on the button here that says Import in order to synchronize prospects to Matrix. So even though that you put the first name, the last name, and the email address, and you still don't see your contact, it's because you didn't click on the Import button. So it's very important that you keep that in mind. Obviously, I won't create a new contact since I already have one there, but it's just to let you know. So from there, what is interesting also, well, we will start the search. Well, that is the purpose of the training. And yes, you have different categories uh, on Matrix in order to get to look for certain properties. So yes, you have the single families, you have the condominiums, you have the commercial properties, you have the revenue properties. So each category has its own specific criteria. So obviously, since the training is only an hour, we won't be able to see through all of those specific categories, but you need to keep in mind that your reflexes and your intuitions and most of the criteria are the same throughout each one of those categories. The only difference is that, let's see, on the revenue properties, you will need to put, let's say, the number of units that you're looking for, the units that are residential, commercial, the building type, etc., etc. So, uh, as I mentioned, each category has its own specific criteria. Yes, that is totally normal, but most of them have the similar criteria. So that's what you need to keep in mind. And the purpose of these trainings is just to give you the tool in order to see that it's very, very interesting how it works on Matrix. So also you have the cross property. So let's say that you're looking for, you have a client that it doesn't, that they don't mind looking for a condo or a single family. So obviously if you go on cross property, you will be able to search throughout those categories at the same time. So now I will start my search. Obviously the most used category is single family. And I will do that, and then I will be able to show you quickly, let's say, the condominiums and so on. So if I go on single family, I will go in general. And from there, as you're able to see, you have your criteria. So it's very simple to select what you're looking for. Obviously, let's say we're going to do an example on the Montérégie, and I will select different cities such as Brossard, Candiac, and Carignan. So how can I select different municipalities at the same time? If you have a Windows, you press your finger on the control button on the left menu of your keyboard and you leave it there. If you have a Mac, you press your finger on the command button, which is the CMD. So you press it and then you select which criteria you want to select. So let's say that I selected by mistake Chambly. Obviously, if I want to remove Chambly, I leave my finger pressed on control and I deselect Chambly. And as you're able to see, I'll only go back to 3 options. From there, you're able to select the status, so active, expired, sold, off market, or cancel. So depending on what you're looking for, you're looking for a specific price. So if you're looking, you have a couple that is looking for properties up to 400K, you can always type in $400,000 minus. So now you're looking for properties that are the price is at a maximum of $400,000. If they want to look for something that has a minimum, well, now it's $400,000 plus. And then as you're able to see, now I put 4 million. And now I have 307 matches properties in those 3 municipalities that are more than $400,000. You can always set a price range. So let's say you have a couple and they say we're looking for properties between $350,000 and $600,000. So you can always do that. And there you go, I have 107 matches. So you can always do that. From there, you're able to select the dates. So this is not something that is mandatory. It's really up to you. Let's say you have the expiration date. So you can check, I want to check for all the properties that are going to expire from this day until July 31st. So I put out the date and I put a minus next to it. And I have 3 matches, or right now I have 11 matches, I'm sorry, that are going to expire between today and July 31st with those criteria. You can always put a plus, And now the system is telling you that you have 99 matches that the expiration date is going to be further than August 1st. You can also look for new listings. So from, let's say you want to look for all of the properties that were put in the market from June 20th. So you can always do that. You put a plus and you have 20 matches. So you have 20 properties that were put on the market since June 20th. So that is something that you can always do. And also you have the price modifications and the status modifications. So those are very self-explanatory. From there, you can always look if you have a property for properties that were repo or judicial. So you can, if you check that, let's say here I have 0 matches. And from there, you can always select your criteria. If you were able to follow, if I didn't select anything in those criteria, it means that I'm looking for all of those criteria at the same time. So if I select bungalow, I'm only looking for bungalows. If I don't select anything in property type, it means that I'm looking for all of the properties, all of the property types. So that is something to keep in mind. The year built, depending on what you're looking for, you can put 2000 and plus. I have 31 matches. And then you have the bedroom totals. So let's say you have a couple with some children and they're looking for 4+ bedrooms and you have 11 matches. And obviously it's at your own discretion to see which criteria you're going to put. Let's say, yes, the couple wants at least 4 bedrooms in their house. But what happens if I put 3+? Now I have 30 matches. Is it possible that between 3 bedrooms and more and 4 bedrooms and more, that between those matches, is it possible that that some properties just need to put some walls and now you have a 4th bedroom? Yes, it's possible. So from there, it's really at your own discretion on what you're going to put there. And here, let's say the basement, equipment, fireplace, stove, pool, water access, view, panoramic. I don't really mind in order to do those. So I just leave them there and the system will look specific for all of the properties that have any or some of those criteria. Also, as you're able to see, you don't have a lot of criteria here. So what are your other options? Your alternatives is to look for the additional fields, which as you're able to see, you can see those here. So just below the results, you have additional fields. So you can always click on add. And you're able to scroll down to all of the available fields. So depending on what you're looking for, it's not really mandatory that you add all of them, depending on what you're looking for. So in order to add, let's say, a field, it's very easy. Let's say you have the, you want to add, I don't know, the centrist number. You can just select it. You click on add. And as you're able to see, I have it here on my right column, and then I click on back. As simple as that. And then I have all of my additional fields that I have here at the bottom. So from there, you're able to select those options. And now it's very important that you understand that if you add some criteria here, such as the distinctive features and the proximity, it's very important to understand what I'm going to say in the next few minutes. So let's say you're looking for properties that have a proximity, and you're looking for properties that are near a highway or a hospital. So you say hospital and highway, perfect. So right now I have 14 matches, so which means that brokers in the broker loading in the page 7 on additional information, they decided that the property, their property was near a hospital and was near a highway. So it's very possible also that you have some brokers that forgot to mention that some properties were near a hospital or a highway. So it's very important to understand that even though you may have a property that is right across a hospital, but because the listing broker forgot in the page 7 in the broker loading to mention that the property was near a hospital, obviously your listing won't show. So I suggest you in that case to maybe see to do a comparison between a results when you have certain when you selected certain proximities and when you don't have any of those. So now my suggestion is to the listing brokers that are following the training right now. On when you're listing a broker on page 7, please take the time, those 5 or 10 extra minutes in order to make sure that you put all of the criteria that are corresponding to your listing, because it's very important to do so, because sometimes, as I just mentioned, if you have a broker that their clients are looking for properties that are near a hospital, and you as a listing broker forgot or didn't take the time to put hospital in your listing, well, obviously your property won't show in the results. And it's not just on Matrix, it's also on Centris.ca. I've seen too many times brokers that call me because they'll call us here at the Centris Help Desk and they're furious because their listing doesn't show when they put near a hospital or near a metro. Let's say they are selling a condo, it's in just on front of a metro, and they're furious because the system doesn't show their listings. And then we go do a little investigations. We go in the broker loading and we find out that the broker just didn't take the time to put that the property was next to a metro. So there you go. The listing has been active for the past 3 months, and the broker and the client may have missed some potential buyers because of that. So it's very important to make sure to take those extra 5 or 10 minutes in the broker loading to make sure that your property corresponds to that. Obviously, the proximity, it's at the discretion of the broker, but obviously, we really want to, well, you really want to put something that is true or at your discretion. So let's say you're looking for houses in Gaspésie. Obviously, if you have a hospital that is, let's say, in a 20 minutes drive in Gaspésie, well, technically, regarding the circumstances, a hospital in there is near. But if you're looking for properties in the South Shore and the nearest hospital is, let's say, in a 30-minute drive, well, technically, the hospital is not really near. So just to be at your discretion, but also you can use if we see it that way, your common sense in order to see if your property is at the proximity of one of those criteria. Also, you have, let's say, the resort cottages, so you can look for those if you have the options. Obviously, when I select that, I have 0 matches. Why? Because between you and me, there's no cottages in Brossard or in Candiac, so that is totally normal. Also, you have, let's say, the keywords. So that is something that is interesting too, because let's say you're looking for a specific keyword in the description. So let's say you're looking for hospital, all right? And the system tells you how to write the expression. So you put an asterisk and you type in hospital, asterisk. And let's see how many matches I have. I have 0 matches. So it means that in those criteria, the brokers, the listing brokers, in their addendum, in the remarks, in the inclusions, exclusion, the brokers didn't put the word hospital in those sections. So that's why I have 0 matches. So if in the other case, I select hospital, right now I have 2 matches. So it's possible that the listing broker decided that the property was next to a hospital, but they just didn't put the word in the description of the listing. Let's say in the addendum that they didn't put the word hospital. So again, not because you're typing a word in the keyword section and you have 0 matches that there's no properties that are that matches for what you're looking for. So you need to make sure and be careful on that. Also, you have the section which is the my inventory. So that is something that is very interesting because you can see how many properties you sold as a listing member or as a selling member. So let's say you check those and then obviously you click on sold. And I don't have any listing myself, so that's why I have 0 matches. But you can see as a broker how many properties did you sell as a listing member and as a selling member between those criteria. If you want to look for all of the properties that you sold in the past without any specific criteria whatsoever, what I would suggest you to do is go on cross property and to add my inventory section and just put as a listing member and as a seller member, and you will be able to see all of the properties that you sold in the past. So there you go for that. So this is what is interesting from the single family. Right now, I will show to you for the condominiums. So just give me a few seconds. And there you have it. So right now, as you're able to see, the criteria are almost the same, but you have different options. So you have the property type, which change. You have the condominium type, how many units you want in that apartment block. So we can put, let's say, 12 and less. In Montérégie, in Brossard, and you're looking for 3 bedrooms and more. And there you go, you're looking for apartment. I have 17 matches. And what is interesting and also you need to keep in mind, and I will show you why it's important that you keep that in mind if you're a broker that is going to list condominiums. So let's say you have a client that is looking for properties for condos that are in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor. So everything is perfect. You have your 10 matches, 3 bedrooms total. And now you're looking for the properties. And let's see if we find some brokers that did some mistakes in there. So I'll take one randomly. I'll take the first one. Okay, so this is a good example of a broker that listed its listing perfectly. What I mean by that is that remember I said I wanted to show properties that were on the 3rd floor. So there I have it, 3rd floor. And then I have here on my rooms, on the level, the broker put ground floor, which is the correct answer. Why? Because in that same apartment, all of the rooms are in the same level. So that's why the broker decided to put ground floor because all of the rooms are in the same level. So even though the property is on the 3rd floor, all of the rooms in that apartment are all in the ground floor. Let's say you had a bedroom that was on the 2nd level. Well, technically the broker would have put a bedroom and here 2nd level. And now everyone will know that in that same apartment, there are stairs that are going to go up and that there is a bedroom in the 2nd level in that property, even though it's on the 3rd floor. So let's see that if we can find maybe a mistake in here in another property. Okay, so this is a good example of a mistake. You have here a broker that said that the property was on the second floor, right? And then that broker decided that all of the rooms, all of the levels are in level 2 and level 3. So what does it mean by that? Is there's no ground floor in that property. You technically open the door of that condo and you're in the second level, and then you go upstairs and you have a third level. There's no ground floor for that property. So as you're able to see, there's a mistake in here, because if we're following the logic of the broker said, well, if I'm on the second floor, well, all of the rooms are on the second floor as well. But why does this broker decided that the master bedroom and the bathroom are on the third level? If we're following the logic of the broker, he's saying that technically these rooms are in the third floor, which is incorrect. What should the broker have done here is, for those rooms, he should have put ground floor, and for the master bedroom and the bathroom, he should have put second level. And that's what you're supposed to do as a listing broker, because that is the way that's how you interpret it. How can you have a second level but there's no ground floor? It doesn't make any sense. So let's say I give you another example. You're selling a condo in the Tour des Canadiens, and you have a property, a condo that is on the 58th floor. Would you put 58th level on the rooms? No, you won't do that. You would have put that the property, yes, it's in the 58th floor, but the levels in that condos, if all of the rooms are on the same level, well, it means that all of the rooms are on the ground floor, but the condo is on the 58th floor. So that is the distinction that you need to keep in mind. And it's very important that you do so, because it may affect your, let's say, your credibility if you're listing properties that give the false information. So if you have people in the public that are looking for condos and they're specifically looking for, let's say, a mezzanine, and they're looking for more in two levels, for two or more levels, and obviously your property doesn't correspond to that, well, technically it's like you're selling a not the good information. So just to keep that in mind. That's why you have here on the style, you have one story for one level, two or more stories, split levels, etc., etc. So that is something that you need to keep in mind from that. Then we have, let's say, the revenue property, which is one of the most used. And you have here the number of units. So you can select for duplex, triplex, quadplex, and how many units you're looking in that specific revenue property. So depending on what you're looking for, if you're not sure if your client wants commercial properties, offices, warehouses, he just wants a specific number of units, well, in that case, I just suggest to put, let's say, 6 units and more, and there you have it. What is the property utilization of those? Well, depending on what your client is looking for. And you can also add additional fields. So depending if you have different options that you're not able to see, you can always add those. Here, and I'll just go look for another additional fields, which no, I think I already added. Yes, correct. So in order to answer your question, Mira, yes, there is a additional field where you can look specifically for how many fives and halves you have in a property. I'm just trying to look for that additional field. If I'm not able to find it in the next few seconds, maybe just call the Centris Help Desk. They will be able to tell you which exactly additional field you're looking for. But yes, it does exist. I just don't want to wait for everyone to wait for me in that case. So just let me see if I find it very quickly. I think this is it. Oh, there you go. So it's the residential units. So let's say that your client wants to look for a revenue property that has 6 units and more. And in those units, how many 4.5s you want? So you can put 3. And I have 0 matches here. Let's say 3, 0 matches. So you can always look for those depending on what you're looking for. So you can always play with those options depending on your criteria. So I won't show you again how to add it in an initial field because I already showed you and the time is ticking, I'm sorry, but you need to add the field that is residential units. So in order to get there, you go on add and remove. So let's get back to the single family. And I will go back again with my my criterias, which I have here for plus, year built, 2000, and detach. There you go. So also what you can do is you can select a map. So if you click on map in your criteria, and from there you're able to see how all of the properties depending on the criteria that you put, but you can also delimit and put a limit on depending on the sectors that your client are looking for. So let's say you have a client that is only looking for a specific neighborhood. You can always click here on the top and you can draw a polygon. So let's say here, if you click on the polygon, you can select and draw on which sector you're specifically looking for. So I click here once with my mouse. I'm trying to limit the sector. I click once again with my mouse, again, and then I need to close the sector. So from there, as you're able to see, if I go here with my mouse on the red circle, I can say I want to include this shape. So now I'm looking for properties in this particular option. So that is something that you can always do. Also, you can create a circle on a specific location, so a radius. So let's say that you have a client that tells you, I want to look for properties that are in the 5-kilometer radius from the section between the Outer Route 10 and Outer Route 30. So you can select the circle here, and then with your mouse, you create your radius. And there you have it. And from there, you can say, I want to include this shape also. And there you have it. So now you have 2 specific sectors that are selected for those criteria. So you can always go back. And there you have it. If now I have 3 matches. Obviously, if you want to clear the map, you only need to click on clear map, and the circles and the polygon that we drew will be erased. And now I go back again with my 65 matches. So from there, it's very simple. Once you've put your criteria, you can click on results. And then you're able to look at all of the properties in the partial way. So let's say we will, I'll get back to you in a few seconds for how to manage this particular display. So if you want to put the price, so now you have 65 matches, and now the system is telling you that it will only display 25 matches at the same time. So you can always switch it to, let's say, 100 matches. And now you have all of the properties in the same page. Now you want to look for the smallest price range to the highest price for the property. So if you click on the price, just the name of the column, the system will arrange those properties in order to be from the smallest price to the highest price. So as you're able to see, and you're able to have those prices from the smallest to the highest. If you want to look for the other way, you click again on the price, and then you have it from the highest price to the lowest price, which are the rentals. You can also do that with, let's say, the address. So now it's in alphabetical order. And if you have selected different cities, well, you can always address those by the alphabetical order of the cities. Also, you can add extra columns. So let's say that, yes, you have those columns here. You can always add columns by clicking on the blue option. And you click on Insert Column. And let's say you're looking for the expiration date. You select it, you click on Apply. And then you have the expiration date of the properties. So let's say that you want to put those in order too. You click on the name of the column, and as you're able to see now, it's in in order. So the next property that is going to expire is tonight for those 3 properties, and then the last property will expire on next year, next summer. So that is something that you can always do. So remember, you can change the order of the addresses, of the prices, of the cities, depending on what you're looking for. And let's say for the address, it's in alphabetical number order on the name of the streets. So from there, depending on what you're looking for, obviously you can always send it to your client. So you can select different properties. You can click on email. You can print those. You can create a report, or you can save those in the auto email. Obviously, I won't have the time to show you how to create an auto email, but let's say you want to save this search. You can always click on Save, and then you have new auto email. Or you can click on New Saved Search. So if you click on that, you can say houses in Brosal. You can always associate it to one of your contacts, depending. It's not something that is mandatory. And you want to say, do I want to have this search as one of my favorites, and do I want it to be shown on the home tab? So you can say yes, and you can click on save. So let's say that you ended your workday, and tomorrow you want to do exactly the same search, and obviously you don't want to restart again from scratch and putting all of the criterias. So if you save your search and you go back again on Matrix, as you're able to see, I have here in my favorite searches, I just click on houses in Brossard, and I have back again my listings. So from there, if I want to change the criteria, I can again click on criteria, change those, go back again on results, and then I can always save it again as a new saved search if you want to. Now on the display and how you see in your properties, you can always say you want the properties to look partial with photo. So as you're able to see, there's no much information here. You can always say detail. So now you have a specific property with all of the information, or you have the summary, which are just some few pictures and some information here, but not the whole listing completely. So let's say here that I want to switch it to detail, and there you have it. So you have your property here. So from there, it's very simple. If you scroll down the page, you will be able to see the documents, the addendum, everything on this property. And also you can look at the pictures. So there's two ways to look at pictures. So you can always click on the picture and you can see those. But this is not the right way to see pictures because the pictures here are bigger than that. So if you click on full screen pictures, now you have a higher resolution, you have a more beautiful picture. So this is the way in order to see the pictures in a more beautiful way. The pictures are bigger, the resolution is better, so you'll be able to more appreciate the pictures for any particular listing. So that is it for that. And also you have your different options on the top, which I will show it to you. The first one it's the I option. You can always click on the email contact option in order to send, let's say, a send request to the broker. Also, you may have information here on the info selling broker. Also, you have here the option in order to see if your property is next to daycares. So if you check those and you close it, the higher the number, and it means that the higher the property is next to the option that you just checked. So here on daycare. Then you have the activity option, which I don't have access to it anymore because I think it's a new listing. So the activity report is where you will be able to see all of the information that was changed to this listing, such as let's say the pictures that were changed, the addendum that was changed, or any modification that was made in that specific listing. You will be able to see it here in the activity information. Then you have your irregularities. So let's say that you're looking in a property and there is information that is not valid. You can see publicity, you can see ads on the picture. So technically that is against the rules of the board. So you can always put it in irregularity, and the member services here will be able to analyze it and they will be able to contact you if that's the case. Obviously, the listing broker won't ever know that you as a broker made an irregularity on their property. So it's just the member services here at the board that will be able to see that it was you, because for investigation purposes, they may have to contact you. Also, you have the history of this property. So if, let's say, this property was put on the market in the past, you will be able to see it here. So you can see if the property was off market, canceled, if it was expired or sold in the past. Then you have here your community section. And then you have your options, which are the walk score. So this is very interesting because your walk score is determined by, well, the highest the walk score means that your property has a lot of services by walking near that property. So the highest is the better for someone that likes to walk. So you have the elementary schools, the daycares, and obviously at the end, since we're in Brossard, the nightlife is very low, etc., etc. If you have, let's say, property that is in the middle of the of downtown Montreal and the nightlife here, the walk score says it's 1, and obviously you don't agree with that specific number, you can always click on nightlife, let's say, and you can say, tell us what you think of our scores. So you can say, I don't agree. And then our partner here, Local Logic, will investigate your property and may adjust it if they see that their system was, let's say, they didn't put the right number through for that specific characteristic. Then you have your community profile. So in here, you will be able to see in Brossard the population by group, the household income, the construction date, the education, the immigration, the languages spoken. And yes, the information comes from 2016, but the information here is taken from the census, which it is done every 4 or 5 years. So since it's a mandatory census that you need to fill, well, obviously in the next census, the information will be updated. Then you have the real estate statistics. So these are more up to date because, as you're able to see, you have the last 4 quarters, depending on the single families, condominiums, duplexes, depending on what you're looking for. Then you have the financial functions. So if you're going to see what is the down payment that you need to put, what will be the estimated property transfer tax, etc., etc. So that is something that you can also check in here for your client. And the last option is the one for incident forms. So let's say that you find this property, your client wants to make a promise to purchase, so you can just directly go on incident forms, create your transaction, and add your documents. I just want to warn you that sometimes it's very possible that you try to access to incident forms with this with the specific centrist number, and the system tells you that there's no data for that centrist number. So it's very normal because it's possible. Well, why is there no centrist number, or why is there no data in incident forms? Because the property that you're trying to make a promise to purchase to is a new listing. So it takes up to 24 hours before incident forms have all of the information for that specific listing. And from there, then you will be able to create your transaction and link it with the centrist number. So between that time frame, you have 2 options. Either you wait that incident forms has the data for that new listing, or you just write the information yourself, and that is really up to your own discretion. And I will finish here the course with how to look for an address for properties in a specific address. So let's say that I'm looking for single families, and I don't remember, let's say, condominiums address. And let's say I don't remember specifically the civic number or the apartment number, but I remember the street name. So I know it was in Montérégie, Brossard, and I remember that it was on Boulevard Milan. So technically, if you just type in the name of the street, now the system tells me that there are 0 matches, right? But if I click on the magnifying glass at the end, as you're able to see the magnifying glass, now the system tells me how to rightfully write Boulevard Milan. So I just selected, I click on OK, and there you have it. I have 1 matches. So I just can click on results, and I have my property here. So let's say here you have the 6400 Boulevard Milan, apartment 101. If let's say you remember the civic number and the apartment number, but you don't remember the street name, well, it's very simple. Just type in 6400 and then here in apartment 101. I didn't put any street name. If I click on result, I still have my property here. If you don't remember civic number, but you only remember the apartment number, you can just type in apartment number. And obviously, if you're in Brossard, it's very possible that there are not a lot of properties that have the same apartment number. So you can just click on results and you can see all the properties with that apartment number. And from there, it's just very simple. Just scroll down from those listings and there you will be able to find it. So that is how to look for properties with an address.